Hello everybody, welcome to another Shorty Let's Look At, and this is the beginner's guide, and I believe it's made by the Stanley Parable people, I think. If I'm wrong, whatever. But, so there's probably going to be tons of spoilers if you're watching this, because I believe people should play the game for themselves. But anyway, I'm going to play the game, and if you want to watch it and see what the first impressions are of it before you buy, then you've come to the right place. Anyway, the options, yeah, I mean, I'll show you to you real quick. Basic kind of audio options here. Video options, there's some, but if you go to advanced, you get more detailed stuff here. Not sure why there's this laptop power savings mode. I usually never see that in games, so I guess that's interesting. And it does support keyboard and mouse. I will be playing with keyboard and mouse for this game because, you know, it's good to go back to the basics once in a while. Anyway, let's begin the game. Please make sure audio is on. Yes. Audio should be on. Controls, WASD, and left. Got it.
Hi there. Thank you very much for playing the Beginner's Guide. My name is Davey Wreden. I wrote the Stanley Parable, and while that game tells a pretty absurd story, today I'm going to tell you about a series of events that happened between 2008 and 2011. We're going to look at the games made by a friend of mine named Coda. Now, these games mean a lot to me. I met Coda in early 2009 at a time when I was really struggling with some personal stuff, and his work pointed me in a very powerful direction. I found it to be a good reference point for the kinds of creative works that I wanted to make. So just to start you off, this is, I think, the first game he ever made. It's a level for Counter-Strike. You can walk around here, by the way. And mostly it's just Coda learning the basics of building a 3D environment. But what I like is that even though he starts from the simple aesthetic of a desert town,
there's some weird mouse
he then
smoothing going
these
on.
colorful abstract blobs and impossible floating crates around the level. And of course, it destroys the illusion that this actually is a desert town, and instead this level becomes a kind of calling card from its creator. It's like a reminder that this video game was constructed by a real person. And it kind of makes you wonder, what was going through his head as he was building this? This is what I like about all of Coda's games. I mean, not that they're all fascinating as games, but that they are all going to give us access to their creator. I want us to see past the games themselves. I want to get to know who this human being really is. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. So, it's 2008, Coda starts making these games, and he never releases any of them. He doesn't put them onto the internet, he just makes them and then immediately abandons them, and they sit on his computer forever. And I think he really understood this image of himself as a recluse. At one point he jokingly renamed his computer's recycling bin to Important Games Folder. So, you know, this was just how he worked. He tended to crank them out one after the other without even really pausing to try to understand what he had just made.
Can't even
until
get on
suddenly
here.
One day,
Game's broken.
stopped.
Immersion broken.
In 2011, that was it. He made his last game, and then he hasn't made another one since. And that's why I've taken this opportunity to gather all of his work together, is because I find his games powerful and interesting, and I'd like this collection to reach him, to maybe encourage him to start creating again. And if the people like you who play this also happen to find his work interesting, then I'm sure it'll just send that much stronger of a message of encouragement to Coda. So thanks for joining me on this. If you have a particular interpretation that I haven't mentioned here, or if you just need to get in touch, you can email me at daveywreden@gmail.com. Okay, that's
I think we
about
should
it for
email him after this
introduction.
video.
Let's take a look at Coda's first proper game. As each game is loading, I'll show you the date that it was completed. This first one was made in November 2008.
By the way, I knew nothing about this game going in because, of course, I hate spoilers. So, that's weird that it's the same. It looks like my head's gonna hit the top of this, and you can crouch. Warning: whisper machine active. Evacuate immediately. I just don't like this mouse smoothing
This
option
game is
thing.
called Escape from Whisper, and it's one of the more generic games you'll see from Coda.
Yeah, I do not like the mouse smoothing in this game at all. Let me see if I can, oh, you can skip these levels. Let me see if I can fix that real quick. The mouse sensitivity. It says the mouse acceleration is disabled, but I still acceleration amount. No. Let's fix that. I don't think that did anything. If anything, it feels worse. Oh God. All right, whatever. I guess we'll just stuck with it. This is gonna ruin my my immersion. Immersion broken again. So it's kind of like a museum of games that are all weird.
Security call breached. Hostile alien life form inbound.
Am I the alien life form? And I'm a,
It
that
kinda
would be
looks
cool.
like this game was abandoned mid-development. For instance, you have this gun, which you'd think would indicate that there are supposed to be monsters or enemies somewhere, but then clearly there are no enemies anywhere. You can't even reload the gun when you run out of bullets. But ultimately, we don't really know. Maybe Coda thought that actually it was complete the way that it is. And I think that we should talk about his games for what they are, rather than for what they're not.
Enemy force neutralized. Begin ship evacuation.
I wonder if this is actually true.
I love how you can see the bottom of the universe from this room.
Oh, there it is. And the universe is flat for all you flat earthers out there. That was proof. So is this actually a real guy who did these games, or?
Apparently the space station has a labyrinth on it. Sure, I don't know. There's really no reason for it that I've ever been able to discern, so in the interest of time, I'm just gonna skip you on past it.
Oh! Okay. I guess I beat it.
Okay, this is the part that's interesting. The game has this narrative about the whisper machine and how it has to be turned off, and then you get to the engine room.
Wait, where's my gun?
Hey, you there, in the engine room. You could save us all. That being is powering the whisper machine. We could disrupt it by introducing a great enough heat signature. If your
I
body
wonder
would
if
stop the heat.
his friend actually exists, or if this
So
was
much
just
to ask, but
the
for all our
writer
lives.
making these
Would you do
games
it?
and his friend
Could
and
you
making
give
you think
yourself-
that that's what was going on. But in reality, he created all these games, and he made you want to do all this. Can I get in it? Up, I'm
Let
in
me
it.
pause here
I
for
think
a
I died.
second. What you just experienced, stepping into the beam and then dying, is probably what Coda had initially intended when he was developing this level. But when he first compiles and plays it, something goes wrong. There's a bug somewhere. And this is what happens instead.
Up. It reloaded. Whoop! I'm floating outside the level now.
The
I've
beam
become
causes
God.
you to start floating. And this is an important moment for him. Because
there's
yes,
the
this
maze.
is technically a glitch, but Coda identifies something human about it. Like how small it makes you feel in the face of this larger chaotic system. Or this floating could be the afterlife, a peaceful place, juxtaposed against all of the hysteria that you've just had to traverse. I don't even know. I have no idea what he was thinking, but what's clear is that after making this, something lodges itself in his brain. He wants to do more of these really weird and experimental designs. So he stops work on this and moves on to a stream of tiny little games that go in all sorts of directions. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first game he made after leaving this one behind.
I think I reached the top of the universe. The past was behind her. Oh, I can't move. I can jump.
Yep, in this game you can only walk backwards.
Oh my god. What the fuck? Up, I see the floor. Oh my god, what the hell?
So
Wait,
it's
what's
a
it say?
short and
But the
relatively
future could
minimalist
not be seen.
experiment combining motion and narrative. It is less advanced than the previous game, but actually it seems to be more focused, more complete. Coda's trying to give it a unique voice rather than simply basing it on a pre-existing trope.
That's interesting. Up.
It's a short little thought, it says what it wants to
Oh.
say, and then it ends. Didn't need
Ah!
anything more than
That was it!
which to me is why it works, because it gets out quick. Okay, next one.
Alright, just like I said, there will be spoilers in this game, so... Alright. Oh, great. I have the field of view of a Silent Hill game. You are now entering... I can't even move anyway. I can move left or right like 2 feet.
And that's it. Okay, the meaning of this game won't be clear just yet. Please be patient with me for a few more games, and I promise you'll see what makes it interesting.
Okay.
Oftentimes, Coda would put bizarre titles like this one at the start of his games. I wish I'd known him at the time that he was making these early games. He would really only talk to me about his work as he was making it. Once he stopped work on a game, like, that was it. It was dead to him. And I don't agree with that at all, but what are you gonna do? I know it's tempting,
Very
but there's
interesting.
actually nothing over here. Sorry.
What about over here? I don't want to go there yet. I love exploring. It won't let me jump off the ledge, by the way. This is what you get for, people. This is what you've come. You come to watch a guy walk around a boring landscape, unable to kill himself, and unable to proceed. Alright, I guess we'll go up the stairs. Is there gonna be some trick with these stairs? Like I never actually reach the top. I just keep climbing and climbing. Come on, get up there.
Once you've been slowed to an absolute crawl, the door at the top of the stairs opens. So why, if Coda's not showing these games to anyone, why bother opening the door at all? Well, to show you, I'm modifying the game here so that when you press enter, it'll bring you back up to full speed so you can enter the door for yourself.
No, I don't want to. I think we're gonna make it. What if I hit enter again? Oh, no. Play as a pair of floating eyes emitting noises. A key in one game unlocks a door in a completely separate game. The game is nothing but giant blocks of text explaining a series of...
A room that's warm and nice and filled with little ideas for games.
Stand on an X staring at a bear for 3 hours? Game
Coda
filled
would
with
often
chairs
tell me
except
that
one
he
chair
didn't
is
mind
floating.
if people thought of him as cold or distant. He said that he knew that he was actually a vibrant and compassionate person, but that it takes time to really see that. It can be a very slow climb to get there.
Uh-huh. Alright. Ready, set, fish. Alright. I can jump in this game, and I can crouch. I guess that's good to know.
Well, this is
2
new
out of
for
3 ain't
Coda.
bad, people.
It's an actual puzzle. Go ahead and see if you can solve it. Don't forget that solution, because we're going to see this puzzle again soon. We're gonna see it a lot.
Oh, great.
So that seems to be it, right? You walk down a corridor, you solve a puzzle, you get to the end. Simple enough. Alright, now I'm going to modify the game again so that when you press enter, it'll remove all of the walls from this room.
What the fuck?
How about that? There was more to it than we had any way of knowing. I actually find it funny that this game comes after the Stairs game, since they essentially convey the opposite idea. So, in the Stairs game, a dull exterior concealed a rich interior. And then, in this level, a dull interior hides this fantastic outer world. Either way, I think that the point is the same, is that most of the time you don't get to know what you're missing, or even that you're missing anything. That's not your role as a player. So if your role here is not to understand, then what is it?
Oh, guess that was that. Alright. We are walking again. So what are we entering? You are now exiting.
Aha. So, this, combined with the entering game from earlier, tells us that Coda believes his games are connected somehow. It could even be that the Stairs game and the puzzle game are literally connected in between this and the entering game. There's a bigger picture that all of his games are meant to play a role in, some larger meaning that we won't be able to grasp until we've seen all of them. And once we have, we can step back and start to understand what exactly that bigger picture is.
Alright. You think I should keep going? The Great and Lovely Descent. Alright. This looks very interesting, and I will leave you here because I don't want to keep spoiling stuff, and I think this game is designed by a player-by-player basis. So I don't feel like you'd get out of it what you would if you were actually playing the game. So, in that case, we're on Chapter 7, but I will actually keep playing this game. It seems really cool. And if you enjoyed the Stanley Parable, Stanley Parable, I would suggest playing this game too. I think it's kind of cheap. You might be able to get it cheap anyway. But once again, I enjoyed it. This was my first impressions. See you guys next time.